I'm so excited to be joined by Nico Tortorella. You know them from Younger, but they're also a poet and author of the upcoming memoir, Space Between. Hey now, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm great, it's so great to meet you finally.
Yeah, you too in person.
So, before we get into the book, I need to ask you about Younger.
Shoot.
I'm a big fan. Can you give us some hints about what to expect so I know what to tell my therapist before I go see it later this week?
Well, this is the most dramatic season to come. I think that we've all been really leading up to this moment of, for Josh's character, trying to figure out what it means that Claire's showing up pregnant, right? For Liza, what's going on with Charles? And for Kelsey, what's going on to be the boss of this company and how she's going to really manage that position.
Yeah.
I think Josh, for the last 5-6 seasons, has desperately been trying to take care of somebody, right? To like give his entire heart to somebody else. And that really happens this season in a beautiful, special way.
Oh, so Josh keeps taking care of everyone else, but not himself.
Yeah, he starts to show up for himself. I love that you spotted that. I always say, you know, Josh is really giving all of his attention to everybody else. And like, a girl needs to just take a step back.
We all need
Go to
sometimes.
therapy or something.
Hey, preach on that one.
Yeah.
So I'd love to ask you about Josh as a symbol, I think, for older women dating younger folks. How do you think he as a character is helping us reimagine the boy toy, the young thing during a potential midlife crisis, even though Liza, I would not say is going through a midlife crisis, but there's so many, you know, representations of young men with older women.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, I think time and age is as fluid as everything else, right? And I've definitely dated older. When I was 19, I was dating a 33-year-old for a good chunk of time, and then I dated a little bit older than that for a while. And I'm all for the dude being like objectified and sexualized on this show, right? It's for the most part usually the other way around. Yeah. And get out there, everyone. You know, like. Go find yourself a little boo thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's your pride motto. Find yourself a little boo thing.
Or more than one. Hey,
multiplicity. Well, speaking of a boo thing, you have a boo thing on your upper thigh.
Oh, I do?
I'm going to call it a boo thing.
I love that boo thing.
It's a beaver.
It is a beaver.
Tell me about it, because we have an Instagram post of it. It's right here.
Yes,
I feel like that picture stops internet traffic. When
that
you
really did
like
something.
That. So what is going on
That's
here?
the shortest caption in the history of Instagram.
It is
right there.
It is a memoir.
It's a memoir, a full memoir. Yeah, the beaver. Obviously, there's like, you know, a little, there's some gender fuckery in there, right? But I bought this house last year upstate, and I fell in love with the wildlife on the property. I'm like fully Snow White right now. I just feel like all of
you walk out and start singing a song.
Fully.
What queer song do you sing to gather the animals?
It's probably How Great Thou Art. It's not really a queer song, but
it works.
Jesus was queer. How great thou art.
I mean, any person that throws a brunch as their last supper, it was not a supper, it was the last brunch with a bunch of men. This is called My Sunday.
And like definitely genderqueer, radical.
Robes.
Jesus was number one.
He turned water to wine. Yes, very queer. You were just honored in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
There's a day named after you.
Like what?
You are now like a figure within the parade.
Yeah.
Tell me about this honor.
LGBT Heritage Month. I'm the first person, the first ambassador for Los Angeles, which I got the phone call about it, and it was really one of those moments where like it didn't sink in until I was there. And I mean, Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell presented me. There was this whole speech, right?
Amazing.
And then I got the chance to take the podium, and I was, you know, speaking to all of these city hall members, these council members, and it was a really emotional moment. I don't know anyone that's like had an experience like that, so I couldn't really be like, hey girl, what's this like?
Yeah, there's a possibility model for this moment.
And it's just really like, I don't want to say it's the validation that I necessarily needed, but it was just this like momentary reminder that I am on the right path and I'm doing the right things.
Yes.
And it's not just about me, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of the first and most important things that I said was, I am here for everyone that will never have the opportunity to stand in front of you right now. And it's so much more than pronouns. It's so much more than gender identity, right? This is like a human issue. And I like to think that, you know, I use and we use this gender conversation as a metaphor for something so much bigger than who we are and how we identify. It's how this world operates and the great divide that exists and how how we can bring these energies closer together rather than farther apart.
And speaking of energies, you have done so much work to be more expansive in how we all think about gender and queerness. But there's a person who is very famous in this world that thinks the opposite. His name is President Trump.
Yes.
And he tweeted the other day about pride.
Yeah.
Did you see the tweet go live?
I did.
Yes,
I did see this tweet. I try not to really pay much attention to that person. Nothing really surprises me anymore from that administration. Like, this is going to sound a little problematic, but I'd rather see him post about it than not. You know what I mean? Like, because it's starting more conversation, right? And the hypocrisy that exists within it, and it's just kind of like whatever, out of sight, out of mind, right? This is our month. Like, I don't need.
Would you say that it makes it feel, I think a lot of us feel gaslit by Donald Trump. We see all these things like the Trump trans ban, what's happening on the border. I'm like, this is terrible. And then he'll tweet and say, no, it's not. What are you talking about? So do you think these tweets are good in that they show us that like we're not crazy? That his policies are different than what he's saying?
100%. But we also have to remember that he's just the face of something that is so much larger, right? That exists in this country. Like, it's not just his fault.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that do the exact same thing. And like, look at Pride Month. There's all these companies that, throw a flag on a T-shirt or something and then don't actually support the community or aren't putting money towards, infrastructure. And it's a much larger issue than just one man in office.
Yes, and that will maybe change in the next election. Are you following closely the 2020 Democratic candidates coming down the pipeline?
To a certain extent, yeah. There's 22 different candidates now at this
we've
point?
had Andrew Yang on so far. Yeah, there's a lot.
I am kind of like going to take a step back until we narrow them down a little bit more. But it doesn't matter for me who it necessarily is. Like, they are getting my vote, and I'm going to, parade as hard as I possibly can for that person when it happens.
Wonderful.
But it's a little upsetting to see all of the men get talked about more than the women are right now. It's just the world that we live in, this country that we live in.
Yeah. So let's move on to your book.
Great.
It's called The Space Between.
Yeah, Space Between.
What does the space between mean?
Oh, it's everything.
Is it also queer, like the beaver?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The beaver lands somewhere right in the middle of the space between. The space between the binaries, the space between Republican and Democrat, the space between good and evil. As human beings, like, we understand the gray areas of things very much so in our waking lives. But when we're telling a story or when we need to identify with one thing or another, we have a really hard time navigating spaces between one or the other. And really so much of my work is about this deconstructing of binaries and divides that exist in everything, right? And I very much so believe in the spectrum of anything. And, I think that because of binary gender, because of man and woman, we only see, or so much of the world only sees, gay and straight, right? We have a hard time looking past that. And I think we just kind of need to break it all down and start from scratch.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by and talk to me about this and the beaver. Beaver conversation I'll remember forever.
Come on, beavers.
We're going to put beaver on a pride flag.
Yes, beaver pride.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And The Space Between comes out September 17th. And Younger, Season 6 premieres June 12th on TV Land. More AM to DM is up next.